Welcome to the very last field mowing that we did for the 2018 year. So this is a field probably maybe 8 to 10 acres. I don't think it's 12. I think it's 8 to 10 acres. And the tractor I'm using here is a 1959 Series 1 Alice Chalmers D17, and I have a 5-foot Howes or Hyco, I think it was a Hyco, brush hog on the back. So I'll tell you a little bit about this tractor. This is a 63 horsepower liquid cooled 4-cylinder gas tractor. It has I think it's like a 20-gallon gas tank. It has 8 forward speeds in this thing and 2 reverses. It has the power shift, so I can go from high-low range, so I can go from like 4th low to 4th high without putting in the clutch, and just kind of shift like sort of like an automatic. And it has final drives. This is a narrow front tractor. I have the left and the right brake, and I also have a slip clutch on the back, because when you put the clutch in this tractor, so this tractor kind of has 2 clutches. There's the main clutch to stop the brush hog and tractor, and then there's the power shift, which has a neutral setting, which leaves the PTO on, but the tractor stops moving. So I kind of go in between both of those whenever I mow sometimes. But I'm mowing, just mowing this field with this tractor, and I'm amazed at how much power one of these brush hogs take to run. This tractor is probably putting out around, I'm thinking, high 40s, low 50s for horsepower out the back end, out the PTO shaft, and the brush hog is pretty much taking up, I wouldn't say all of it, but a good amount of it. And I did have a couple problems while I was mowing this field. This grass here is pretty thick in spots, and in other spots it's really not thick at all. I broke 2 shear bolts. So I sheared off 2 shear bolts, and I actually had to just put in the last the original bolt that came with it, because that one was a grade 8 bolt, or grade 5 I think, and the other ones I put in were grade 2 or something. But here's where I broke that first shear bolt, and I think I deleted the clip for the second one. So I'm just having to fix this. I put the second shear bolt in on this one, and after I broke it, I didn't have any other bolts. That was the original one there that was painted brown. But I put in a silver one, a silver bolt, and you just kind of have to line everything up. I made sure I turned off the PTO. I still left the tractor running. It's in neutral. It shouldn't really go anywhere. I know some people would say, oh, you need to make sure that you turn the tractor off. I get that. I understand that. But I didn't really see the need to do it, so. Now, I did grease this brush hog up. There's 4 grease zerks on this thing, including the PTO shaft. I checked the oil in the gearbox. That looked good. And I checked the engine oil in the tractor. Fueled it up, checked the transmission fluid, etc., etc. So everything seemed to be pretty good there. So like I said, I'm just replacing this bolt, and I'm just trying to get this brush hog running. I really think this tractor has too much power for this brush hog. I am a little worried about blowing up the gearbox. I don't think that'll happen though. They made stuff, this is a pretty old brush hog. They made stuff pretty good back then, and this gearbox is probably a 1/2 inch thick of cast iron, so it's pretty well made. So I try not to lug this brush hog too much. A couple times I almost stalled the tractor because the brush hog was digging into the ground, and you had to really kind of be careful with how deep you let the brush hog sink, because it'll shear the shear bolt or stall the tractor. So now that that is pretty much back together, I think I made it around halfway around the field again, or 1.5 laps around, and it sheared again. So by the time that happened, I had had enough, and I just put the old regular bolt back into it. I also wanted to mention I blew up a shear clutch in this tractor mowing. Also, this is just kind of an add-on, or I guess it's an overrunning clutch, and I blew that up. Again, I think this tractor has too much power for a lot of the stuff that this brush hog and that slip clutch was meant for. So I blew that up, I think, on the third pass, and I had to take that off, head back to the barn, and take that off. And I also wanted to mention, I apologize, coming up in this video, a lot of these clips are not going to be in order. This kind of really bugs me, but I'm having some problems with my video editing software, and I did not want to just delete all this because this is pretty good footage, I think. Hopefully you guys enjoy it also. But I have a clone of a copy of a GoPro. So I am 2 generations past a GoPro, or under a GoPro action camera, and that's what I filmed these videos with. And for whatever reason, it makes these clips, they're roughly a minute each, minute and 20, or a minute and a half each. And for me to get these clips onto my cell phone, because that's what I edit my YouTube videos with, I have to, let's see, I could have, looking back on this now, I could have taken the SD card out of the camera and put it into my cell phone, and I might have been able to eliminate a lot of extra steps. So for the GoPro, or it's an SJ cam, I had to copy the files off and put them onto my computer, and then from my computer I had to upload them to Google Drive, and then from Google Drive they went to the video editing software, and then from the video editing software they went to YouTube, edited and everything. So I don't know how else to do this. I don't know whether just to get another GoPro camera or an actual GoPro camera, but I don't know how else to do this. This video is going to be pretty chopped up, and I'm really disappointed how this turned out. But another thing is for whatever reason, I would put the clips in order. However, the videos do not play very good on my cell phone from the SJ cam, my little action camera. They do not play smoothly on the video editing software. So this video right now, as I'm watching it, it is jumping all around, and it is really poorly done, I should say. So I don't know how else to do this. I don't know exactly how to fix this. It really does bother me, but I don't know, we'll see. But anyways, getting back to the field mowing. So this is a wet spot here, and there's probably about a dozen wet spots that I could almost get this tractor stuck in this field. We live in the bottom, in a valley. There's 2 hills on either side of us, and of course all the water collects where we are. So that's just the way things are. And I did actually get this tractor stuck. I will have to put in some pictures here that you guys can see. You wouldn't believe the ruts that I made getting this tractor stuck. It was pretty bad. I did not film that. As I'm mowing this field, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to just get done, and I just want to go. I don't want to say I don't have time to set up cameras and stuff. I need to get this done, because this field, it takes me pretty much the entire day with this tractor to mow it. Probably sun up to probably about dinner time. Maybe I'll start maybe 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock getting things going and be out mowing by 8. And then, come in for a bite to eat and then head back out again. So it just takes a lot of time, and I don't mind filming. I enjoy filming. It's just stuff like this with this SJ cam. It really bothers me, but I'll put in the pictures of me getting stuck. Here are those pictures I was talking about of me getting stuck. It does not take much to get stuck in a big farm tractor like this. Even if it looks dry, it's probably wet underneath it, and plus this weather that we've had this year, it has been so wet, we can hardly get out to pretty much do anything. Everything is mud. I don't know how else to put it. There's mud everywhere. Back to mowing the field here. So I guess we're on pass number 2 now. Like I said, all these clips are going to be all kind of messed up from probably almost here on out. But this first pass that I made right in this spot, it is so steep. The camera doesn't do it justice for how steep it is. The front end of this tractor actually slid down the hill probably, I don't know, a couple feet, probably 2 feet down to the bottom. And it really startled me there for a second, because I thought the whole tractor was kind of going to slide downhill, but the rear end on this stayed fine, stayed where it was. So those are even the tri-rib tires on the front of this thing, and they're meant for steering, so I don't know exactly why they decided how to slide down, other than it's just too steep. So I think in here I broke another slip clutch, and you see me going back to the barn there. I wanted to also address, you see my cell phone with a rubber band around it just above the gas tank there. That is so I can see what the GoPro sees on my head, or the SJ cam. And I'm doing that because I don't know what the SJ cam is recording, so I can see a live view of what the SJ cam is recording on my cell phone and view it as I'm mowing and stuff. So I think it's pretty neat. Maybe at some point I will upgrade to a GoPro, but they're not cheap. They're pretty expensive. So I wanted to say there's probably about a dozen spots in this field, maybe 8, 10, 12 spots that are pretty wet, and hopefully you'll see me go through one of them. I had no idea it's down in here. I had no idea that it was wet. I mean, I could see that it was kind of wet, but after you drive through it, you're really shocked at how wet it really is. And I decided to kind of switch things up and sort of go the other direction now. I know a lot of people said in the previous brush hogging video that I should just mow in straight lines with the tractor and not go all around. But generally, this is how this field has been mowed for many, many years. Probably approaching 50, I don't really know. They've mowed it just how I've mowed it, so guess I'm trying to keep up the tradition of how this field's been mowed. But ever since, I mentioned this in the last video, but ever since Elmer had passed away, we've kind of had a hard time finding someone to mow it. And I got this tractor for a screaming deal just down the road from my house, and I could not pass it up. And it had sat out just out by the road. No one had wanted it. No one drove by it. Well, no one probably stopped to look at it. because it's not super pretty looking. And my brother drove past this tractor on his way to school, on his way to college, pretty much every day for, I don't know, 4 months, maybe 6 months or something. And the tractor really never moved, or no one ever drove it around, or he never saw. I think he did see one person there, and that one person was me buying it. So this tractor, it's definitely got a lot of life left in it. I have to do some maintenance and stuff on it. I need to change the engine oil, and I need to change the gear oil in the transmission. So it definitely needs some work done to it, but this is a great old tractor. There's really no blow-by or anything, and it's an overhead, is it an overhead cam or overhead valve? I think it's an overhead valve engine in it. But they're a lot more fuel efficient than a flathead motor from what I've heard. And plus I can also pretty much, I think, mow this entire field on one tank of fuel. The 8N, we have to, I think, fill it up twice to mow it. And that tractor is probably going to be due for an engine rebuild at some point in the near future. This tractor will take over mowing and stuff, and we'll probably just go from there. But generally, the first mowing of the season, this is the 3rd or 4th mowing that we did in 2018. The first mowing is super high. The grass is probably approaching up to the radiator on this tractor, and you kind of have to be careful that you don't overheat this thing. This tractor does not have the fuel, or not the fuel, the engine temperature hooked up. For whatever reason, someone unhooked it. I don't know why. So I have to be a little bit careful with how hot I let this thing get, and just be careful with it. But fortunately it has a lot of power, so mowing and stuff, I'm really not doing a whole lot of, I'm not really lugging it a whole lot. It has a decent amount of power. But I'm just just mowing along, and I think this spot here is either where I blew up that slip clutch, or I broke another shear bolt. So I just fix things as I go, and that slip clutch was brand new. I think I spent $30 or $40 on that thing, and it's nothing like just pouring money down the drain, right? But I'm glad I could mow this field. Ever since Elmer passed away, like I said, we've had problems trying to find someone to mow this, and that's one of the reasons that made us go get this tractor. And now we can mow it pretty much whenever we want. So the rear tires of this tractor are weighted. This is not news to those of you that have watched my channel in the past, or my loyal viewers. I weighted these rear tires, took out all the calcium in them, and replaced it with windshield washer fluid. So we shouldn't have any rusting out rims on this tractor whatsoever. But I figured I'd do some different camera shots and aim the camera down, and you can see what I see for controls on this tractor. That lever there that I'm moving up with my hand and pushing down, that is for the 3-point. The lever in front of it is for the traction boost on this tractor, and the other lever behind the steering wheel on the right side is the throttle. And generally I like to mow this field at probably 3/4 throttle. I try to get that PTO spinning at 540 RPMs, or maybe slightly more, because like I said, mowing with a brush hog on the back, I'm really amazed at how much power it takes to mow grass. It doesn't really when all you're doing is cutting down grass, it doesn't seem like it should take that much power, but I guess you have a lot of mass and stuff that you have to keep spinning underneath there. As I was mowing, in a couple spots, I actually ran through a couple bees' nests drove over them with this tractor. The bees, of course, in tall grass and stuff, they love to call that home, and I think these were hornets or something. Whatever makes a nest in the ground is what they were. They weren't white or anything, but it was funny. It was right on the side of where I had to mow, so I drove over the nest. That's where pretty much they were all congregating at, and what I did was I saw them. I saw all the bees and stuff around, or hornets or yellow jackets, whatever they were. I saw them all flying around, and I'm like, well, I need to mow in here, and then after I'm done mowing, I'm done, you know. I'm not going to be back in here again. So I just had that power shift. I went from low range, because I generally mow this field in third gear, low range, and whenever I need to, I just press the little button on top of the big, massive lever on the right side of the tractor, and I just push that forward, and then that gets me into high range. So that's what I did. I power shifted through that bee's nest. They were all flying around, and they were not happy. A few of them chased me, but I made sure I kept going and didn't stop for a while, so I really kind of lucked out there. There was probably four bees' nests. There was a bunch of snakes. Oh my gosh. I think there was a dozen or 15 snakes that were in this field that I'd see trying to get away from the tractor. There was also some mice and stuff, so I kind of know where all the critters come from. It's in this field, so there's really nothing I could do about any of that. It's just one of those things. Hopefully they'll all get out of the way, and I won't run them over. I did see a few snakes that I did hit with the mower, but that's what happens when you mow the field, I guess. So there is also a bunch of old groundhog holes that are in here, and I kind of have to be a little careful with them. They're not super big, but they will surprise you when the whole tractor starts rocking and with one tire drives into the hole. Which is actually, on this tractor, I don't have to really worry about that, because the front end of this thing, it's two tires right beside each other versus one on each side. And then the rear tires on this are almost 15. I think they're almost 15 inches wide. So I mean, they're pretty big tires, and they still have lots of tread left on them. So we also had, this was a year or two ago, we also filled in, there's some sinkholes in this field also. So, you know, we pretty much have I wouldn't say every problem out there that a field has, but between lots of wet spots and there's a few sinkholes and stuff, and lots of hills too. That's another thing. Fortunately, we have the 8N with the 3-point sickle bar mower, and that thing is a lifesaver. It keeps me off of these hills with this tractor, with it being a narrow front, a tricycle tractor, row crop, whatever you'd like to call it. It keeps me off the hills with this tractor, which I probably wouldn't go on anyways, but how else do you mow it when it's super high? You really can't take a regular mower up it. It'll only go down it, because the hills are so steep around here. And actually, in case anyone's wondering, this is Western Pennsylvania, so it's the further closer you get to Ohio, the land starts to get smoother and smoother, and in here, where I'm at, it's pretty it can be pretty hilly. So we're just making pass after pass. It's I wouldn't say it's monotonous work, but you know, you're just kind of doing the same thing over and over again. And I did put the stack, I put a second exhaust pipe on top of this tractor. I think you can see there. Some people had said that the intake of the motor could be breathing in exhaust fumes, and that is a very real possibility. So I made sure I put that exhaust pipe on this time, and that seems to work quite well. I've not had any problems with it, and it helps to keep any fumes and stuff out of my, you know, so I don't have to be breathing them. So I guess I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of this video here of me just mowing. And I'm sorry the clips aren't the way that they should be, but I don't know how else to fix this. It'd take me days and days to edit this video to try to get the clips all in the right order, but you guys get the gist of it. It's just kind of more mowing. So it's kind of funny. As I'm editing this video, we have about 2 inches of snow on the ground, and whenever I filmed this video, I think it was probably, I don't know, 80 or 90 degrees. It wasn't super hot, it's probably closer to 80. But I think this was in September whenever I mowed this, so I've had this on my cell phone and stored on Google Drive for quite a while now, because I hate to say it, I've been kind of pushing off this video, not really wanting to do it, only for the simple fact that it's mainly because of all these clips are all messed up. So here's this video again, or here's this video that I'm finally getting to, so hope everyone enjoys it. I wanted to mention it's amazing how different parts of this field grow at such different rates. Some parts of this field might grow an inch or two, and like this part that's coming up here as I round this bend, this grass here grows incredibly tall and super thick. It'll grow, this will be probably one of the highest parts, or the part of the field that's grown the most out of the entire field. And whenever Elmer, but like I said, we had problems with people mowing it, so this field didn't get mowed nearly as often as it should have. I think there was 1 year or 2 years that it may have not been mowed one time, or it wasn't mowed at all. And then another time or another year, it maybe got mowed one time. So now that we've been mowing this about 3 times, even just in this year, it's amazing how many less weeds we have in this entire field. So I'm pretty happy about that, and it's all seems to be growing good with its grass now, not rose bushes and small saplings or very small saplings trying to start growing. So I'm really happy we have this tractor, and I'm glad we have some equipment now that we can move some dirt if we need to. We can mow the field if we want. If we get stuck, we have another tractor that we can go get and pull one of them out. So it's nice having some equipment. And these old tractors, as long as you maintain them, I don't want to say they'll run forever, but they'll run a very, very long time with just changing the oil and just taking care of it. That's all you need to do. Just take care of it. If you take care of it, it will take care of you. Getting that calcium and stuff out of those rear tires on this thing was taking care of it for in the future, because I don't have to buy new rims, outer rings for, I think it was $477 a piece, or weld in a patch. I also wanted to mention this is not my first time mowing this field. I've mowed this once or twice before. I think it's one time before this one. So I'm kind of getting to know sort of where things are and whatnot. I know some people are not going to like that the PTO shaft on this brush hog does not have a shield on it, and that is pretty much just how we bought it. I'd like to get another PTO shaft at some point that has a shield on it, but I've found when you're greasing things and just trying to do maintenance and hooking it up, those shields really get in the way, and they really make things very complicated to hook things up and unhook things, and it's just I just don't like it. And a PTO shaft like this one is real easy to hook and unhook, or hook up to the tractor and unhook from the tractor, and grease and all that stuff. So at some point we might get a new PTO shaft, but I kind of like easy access for now. And when this thing's on, I am nowhere near that PTO shaft. I'm just nowhere near it when it's on. When those blades, each of those blades underneath there weigh, I don't know, 10 pounds a piece, and they're spinning at 540 RPMs. I think I figured it out. Was it like 8 or 6 or 10 times a second? I think it was 9. Was it 9 times a second? Something like that. And it's it's not something to mess with. You just want to stay away from it. Don't go anywhere near it. And actually, at some point, what I'd really like to do is I want to weld some chain also to the front and the back of this brush hog to catch any sticks that could go flying, or whatever the case may be, sticks, stones, anything that could be in this field that this mower could pick up and fling. Because we're not messing with, these are not toys anymore. Not that mower or something, regular lawn mower is not a toy. But when you start moving up into, big tractors and stuff like this, a factor, probably it increases exponentially how hurt you could get on one of these things. So, and especially a rollover with this tractor being a narrow front. I know a lot of people, well, a few people on the videos that I posted with this tractor said, oh man, I would never use a narrow front tractor to do any actual work with. And I understand that, I get that, but this tractor is this and the 8N are the only two tractors that we have to mow with, so it's one or the other. And like I said, the 8N, it needs an engine overhaul, so looks like this tractor is going to pretty much be the sole tractor to mow with for who knows how long, till we can get that engine rebuilt on the 8N, and hopefully that tractor will have a lot more power left in it. So yeah, it's just more and more mowing. It's I don't know what else to say. It seems to be going pretty good, other than, like I said, those two shear bolts shearing and the slip clutch blowing up. It's I think for the rest of this, I didn't have any problems other than getting stuck. So everyone enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more.